Hello, this is Venusvi. Welcome to Venus Hub UPSC. Here we are continuing the series of Chandrayaan 3 part 2. As said in the previous video, here we are going to discuss about the classes of launch vehicles and its properties in much more detail. Without any delay, let's go into the video. So, the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, has three classes of launch vehicles. The first one is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle PSLV, second one is Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle GSLV, and the third one is New Small Satellite Launch Vehicle SSLV. Out of these three, ISRO has mostly used PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, as its launch vehicle because it has a very famous reputation as a workhorse with a very low failure rate. That is the reason it was used mostly by ISRO. And one more property of this PSLV is it can lift up to 3.8 tons to lower Earth orbit. 3.8 tons of payload it can lift. You can ask me that if PSLV can lift up to 3.8 tons to lower Earth orbit and it also has a very low failure rate, then what is the need of having other two launch vehicles GSLV and SSLV? Okay, here we will get to know about these two in much more detail. Coming to GSLV, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle. Why ISRO developed this GSLV? Actually, ISRO developed GSLV to launch heavier payloads and if required to even higher orbits. So you all know that PSLV can launch only up to 3.8 tons of payload and to lower Earth orbit only. So if we want to carry higher payload and even to go to higher Earth orbit, GSLV has been developed. Similar to PSLV, GSLV also has so many multiple configurations, but the most powerful configuration is LVM3, which is also known as Launch Vehicle Mark III. So, what is so special about this LVM3? This LVM3 launch vehicle Mark III, it can actually lift up to 10 tons of payload to lower Earth orbit. And if you want to study much more deep about this LVM3 launch vehicle Mark III, imagine a straight line or a rocket form in front of you. And we start with the bottom stage, the first or bottommost stage of the LVM3. It actually has two S200 boosters strapped to the sides of rocket body. If you imagine rocket, you can see the two kind of boosters or two kind of things attached to the lower part of its body. That is nothing but S200 boosters in LVM3. What is their main operation? What they do is actually they combust solid fuel called hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. So its main property is to combust the solid fuel. Coming to the second stage is actually powered by two Vikas engines. What it does is it combusts a liquid fuel, which is either nitrogen, tetroxide, or unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine. So the S200 boosters actually combust the solid fuel, and this second stage, Vikas engines combust the liquid fuel, which is either nitrogen tetroxide or unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine. And the uppermost and the final stage is which is powered by a cryogenic engine. What it actually does is it combusts liquefied hydrogen with liquefied oxygen, which is the final stage. Hydrogen, as you all know, that hydrogen has a very high specific impulse as a rocket fuels go, but using it in an engine requires it to be liquefied first. So, which means it must be stored at very low temperature and with special pumping and transport system. It is the main problem with hydrogen. Okay, here we discussed about PSLV and GSLV. Now it's time for SSLV, Small Satellite Launch Vehicle. Here is a little fact about SSLV. As you all know that, let me remind you once more that SSLV first flight was launched by carrying an Earth observation satellite, which is also known as EOS-2, and its co-passenger is nothing but an student satellite Ajadi Sat. However, this mission actually failed to place the satellites in their required orbits, and the satellites, as they were already detached from the launch vehicle and were also lost somewhere. Going into much more detail about this SSLV, SSLV is nothing but a three-stage launch vehicle. It is also a three-stage launch vehicle which is configured with three solid propulsion stays and one liquid propulsion based velocity trimming module as its terminal stays. And it actually can lift off weight of around 120 tons, and it is also capable of launching nearly 500 kg satellites in 500 kilometers planar orbit from Satish Dhawan Space Center. Coming to its key features, it is actually a very low cost and its low turnaround time and its flexibility in accommodating multiple satellites and its launch demand feasibility and the very minimal launch infrastructure and requirements are needed, so on etc. are the main key features of this SSLV. What is the significance of having this SSLV? The main significance is the era of small satellites. Earlier, the bigger satellites payloads were given more importance. So the sector has grown in many players emerged like business, government agencies, universities, laboratories, etc. So many, everyone started to send us their own satellites. So for this kind of thing, this SSLV is most useful. It also saves lot of cost. I hope we discussed all the important properties of these three launching vehicles of ISRO. And once again, thank you very much for watching the whole video, and and also thank you for being in constant with this Venus our UPSC channel, which is still an infant mode. And hereby I want to announce one more thing that we recently launched a short series where we are going to discuss little current affairs facts which come in the Hindu paper or current affairs magazines. Little facts in form of YouTube shorts. Hope you all visit it once, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Venus Have UPSC and press on the bell icon to get the notifications from this channel directly to your phone. And don't forget to mention your suggestions and reviews in the comment box. Once again, thank you very much.